let's see if we can self-identify. Lucha is a Mikote, but her emotes are Lalafil ones. Was there ever any sort of like explanation for that? Huh. That's strange. I haven't seen like everyone's emotes, so I wouldn't really know. I think we're ready for this. Let's go. See if we can find our personality.
It's a holiday miracle, travelers. Welcome to another unholy video. Today, I will explain each social group of player and where everyone fits into the pecking order, from the very worst to the absolute comically tippy top flat of the player base. So without wasting any time, let's start with the bottom, the absolute worst people that you will encounter. The kinds of people who you are unsure if they're a human being or a pile of garbage that has gained sentience and joined your duty roulette. These are the kind of players who simultaneously have no idea what any mechanic in the game does and have no idea how to play their class properly on top of it. The DPS players who don't AoE, the healers who don't even DPS but still manage to drop the tank, and they deflect any sort of mild criticism to playing like this with, "You don't pay my sub." Thankfully, the game does put a little symbol next to these players so that you know what you're getting into ahead of time.
This is not the Sprouts.
I'm talking about mentors. I'm not exactly sure what attracts people to this status, but the absolute scourge of the world are just always mentors. I'm pretty sure if Hitler was alive, he would have been a mentor in this game. After wondering why that shit-stained crown even exists, I have finally pieced it together for you.
No.
They serve as a
this
prime
makes you never want to be a mentor.
Of how not to play the game. Thankfully, this club is exclusive, so there's not too many mentors to encounter. But they do make up the absolute bottom of the social hierarchy.
Holy shit, that's so mean.
Moving up one step from the very bottom, we have our peers, specifically in Limsa Lominsa. Now, this is a class of players that are only just above mentors.
What?
Every godforsaken time you have to do something in Limsa, it's a group
I only just started enjoying my time there.
Now,
I spend most of my time at that Aetheryte. It's so fun.
And some other degeneracy that I don't even want to think about. Now, I do not care what two consenting adults do in their own time, but Ram Ranch is looking like an abstinence-only training camp by comparison. Like, my god, why is it always in public? The only thing good about Scholars...
I just danced with my blue hat.
...shithole after level 50. If you ever think that you've done something cringy in your life, like I have, always remember that at least you're not part of this crowd. Maybe I'm uncultured, and my antisocial tendencies are too
Anyone
high,
else
so
in the
I don't
Limsa Club?
understand the joy of emoting for 12 hours in the same spot, but my god, it's just so annoying.
Oh, come on.
Just take a big swig of your favorite liquor before visiting the city in the middle of the night and pray that you're too wasted to remember the horror.
Oh,
Alright, now this next one might seem a little bit oddly specific, but I'm going to be talking about people who make class guides
Signs
on
of
YouTube.
autism in adults?
People are always so irritating, asking you to subscribe to their channel and some bullshit. I bet they're not even mediocre at all the classes that they play. Sometimes they even have the audacity to post their shitty content onto your favorite subreddit. The absolute nerve of these people. Even better, I think they live stream things other than Final Fantasy too. Thankfully, it is always hard to tell who these people are while playing Final Fantasy, but they're always lurking somewhere in a corner. Either way, they get the title of not being a mentor in game, but they're only a step above by being a mentor on YouTube.
Holy shit.
Anyone telling you that crafting is not a giant pyramid scheme in this game is just fucking lying. Leveling up your crafters is a big scam of being able to put as much money into it to make your leveling experience faster, and then trying to make all that money back by selling crafting materials to other crafters.
I haven't done
Everyone just signs up 10 of their friends.
Any of that, really.
We will exceed the amount of atoms in the universe with the number of people that we have crafting. Once you're at the top, you still have to pentameld all your shit to even make the stuff for your static. I definitely don't know that from experience. However, this social class that I'm talking about is for the true crafters. The people who don't do anything else.
I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't unlocked it.
I do admire their dedication, but they're also the group that will complain if they have to go into a single instance for a patch that interrupts their important crafting time. The only
is that really true?
Mastery they need is of the craft. So it does suck that they have to do their instances once in a while. At least this group is restoring Ishgard for everyone else who didn't want to deal with the minigame.
I mean, isn't it kind of a combat game?
I think it's weird that I haven't mentioned Sprouts yet, but let me be clear. Flowers are just worse Sprouts. Unlike new players who have no idea what's going on
Oh,
and
the
are just
returning
trying to
players.
learn, these people have no idea what's going on, but have preconceptions of what they believe is truly right. So it's a complete coin flip, because flowers come in all shapes and sizes. You get a hardcore player who stopped playing to raise his kid and finish med school, only to finally come back and lead your group down the path of righteousness.
This video calls me out one way or another.
A former mentor who lost the status after the player commendation requirement was increased. You will find out very quickly if that flower is a beautiful rose or a rotten dead horse arm lily. Either way, flowers do start to make up the bottom of the middle part of the social hierarchy. Now, just above that, we have plot watchers, and these players are the ones that don't play the game for anything other than the plot. Only resubbing just for the patch,
oh, come
but not
on.
for the new instances.
But to be fair, there is so much story that you could just be playing until the next patch.
You might think that it is
with
weird
all the
that
side
flowers
quests and stuff, right?
Plot watchers are not the same group. The difference between the two is that plot watchers have the biggest ego of any social group within Final Fantasy XIV, always reminding us that our Lord and Savior Yoshi P said that they do not have to remain subbed at all times, and it is okay to take breaks.
Oh,
While
of course
I do think
it
that
is.
is a true statement and very noble, they also seem to forget that he didn't say, don't learn how to play your class properly and don't do damage while being a healer. No one cares if you want to run dungeons only once and have never seen an instance without the message, a player is new to this duty. That is not an excuse for not having any idea what your class does. While you might think it's weird that this class is so far up in the pecking order, despite being
is this like an exaggeration? I still don't know
this group
too
of
much about
have
it.
the dev team wrapped around their
To
finger.
actually
The
just
sheer amount of pressure they exude
understand
to make the
sarcasm
normal
here.
content as brain dead as humanly possible and further the gap between normal and hard content has earned them this higher rank, because they have way too much sway in what gets changed in the game. Alright, now we can talk about Sprouts, the new players. And while new players
I thought they would be way lower.
self-conscious about themselves, I think in general the community always has a nice place in their heart for new players. Long before I was
is there
a
a category of people who
cold-blooded
feel
animal
like
in this
Sprouts
game,
and act like Sprouts,
I
but
too
their
was
Sprout
once
fell off?
bewildered and inspired by everything for the first
That's
time.
me.
Sprouts provide a gateway into that nostalgia that I don't think anyone else can really convey. I think we all chuckle a little bit when we see them die to the same shit that caught us off guard for the first time. Running
You
away
guys
from
do that
everyone
to
with
me
a
on
stack
stream all
marker,
the
or forgetting
time.
to turn on tank stance for just a little bit too long.
You're
You
just
never
here
really have
to
to
laugh
fear
at these
Sprouts. They're usually
passages
willing
of
to listen
rights.
for simple advice and are the people who are willing to try to improve. But a wise man once said, beware the Sprout who does not listen. Don't take everything that you hear from people as ironclad fact, but most people won't lie to you if they tell you to stack with the party. Everyone usually likes Sprouts.
Most
so my
people.
recommendation, use that power and milk some free karma on Reddit while you still can. Or just pretend to be a Sprout for upvotes. What the hell do I care? Normies. We're finally at the bulk of the community, the true middle class. If you play Final Fantasy XIV, you're probably a normie. This is the group that plays fairly often. They're not going to be subbed 100% of the time, but more so than the plot watchers. They will run weekly content and are usually just trying their best to do their rotation and do a good enough job, even if the content that they run is not exactly that hard.
I feel like
They're happy to
after
help new players, but usually
the
just say nothing
MSQ,
in
that's
chat
where I'm
minus
gonna
a
fit
greeting
in.
at the beginning and a thank you at the end. If they manage to really screw something up, they will make notes and adjust anytime they have to run that content later. They are the ones who are willing to stand on the platforms in Labyrinth of the Ancients and always go into the belly as a DPS on any alliance. Usually pretty relaxed to talk to, fine with being mediocre, but do have a tendency to shit on World of Warcraft, which is a pretty weird fixation. I never even played WoW, but man, this group makes me feel obligated.
I'm gonna join you guys.
Either way, normies do make up the bulk of the community and are pretty okay in general. Now we can get to raiders. The people who run hard content every week. These are the people who are trying to gear up for best in slot, and they might not play it very often, but they don't need to, because they are only focused on whatever the current raid tier is. If you have cleared one Savage raid, you're already probably part of the
why did
top
they jump
10%
down?
of the player base. This group does have a firm understanding
Or
of game mechanics and
did I
probably
not
know
see
how to
that,
play
right?
their class. Maybe. While they don't make up the largest part of the player base, they do get to experience some of the most involved content and honestly some of the most interesting. Thankfully, they do still get something thrown at them every now and again, but we don't get 3 ultimates per expansion, so oh well. Now we're going to talk about free-to-play players. F2P players are honestly intimidating
Aw,
for
man.
some. While some free-to-play players probably feel like they owe some debt to the people who actually pay to play the game, in reality, free-to-play players are under no obligation to sub-payers. They enjoy Heaven's Word and are probably the only people who even know what an optimized level 60 rotation looks like. This group has managed to maximize the content that they have access to the absolute.
It's like, I remember when my husband and I were starting to play Final Fantasy, like the first thing that we looked up was like a huge list of like all the unlockable stuff before you have to buy the game. Of course, we didn't know. We would eventually just fall in love with the game. And we were just like, okay, there's like enough stuff to cover like 2 years of content. Thank God I bought the game.
Limit. Leveling everything to 60, running the content that most players who started playing since Stormblood probably never even heard of. In fact, most don't even know that there's a whole 2 additional expansions beyond what they have access to. In many ways, they are much more intimidating because they probably put in more hours than the people who paid just to be able to.
Do you think they're ever going to increase the free amount of stuff? Do you think Stormblood is ever going to be free?
Talking about everybody in the middle class of the social hierarchy. Now it's time to start talking about the billionaires and the people who actually control the entire social structure of Final Fantasy XIV. We begin by talking about Yoshi P. He has his entire tier dedicated to him. He is Jesus Christ himself. This man has founded his own religion, died for our sins, solved world hunger, and even found the cure for coronavirus. And despite all these amazing accomplishments, he can never be the top of the pecking order.
The cure is stay home and play Final Fantasy.
This is because he does not want it. He did manage to save this game from the brink of death, but at the same time, he has limited his power. Because if he became any stronger, not even God himself would stand a chance. The community worships him. You probably respect him. And he is the one who will fix all of the bugs in Cyberpunk 2077. All that's left is for him to purge mentorship. Now, right above Yoshi P are going to be interior decorators. Now, have you ever heard of Housing Extreme? Well, these players run freaking Housing Ultimate. The amount of dedication and luck required to get a house in the first place is already bad enough. But these players interact with this awful, clunky decorating system and make the most beautiful interior decorations that even Frank
you almost
Lloyd
can't
Wright
believe
would be
that
proud of.
players made
I
it.
have no idea how they do it. If you ever go randomly through the housing districts, there's always a chance that you'll find a house that just overwhelms you with emotion. The good kind of emotions, too. They have all their crafters and gatherers leveled up to be able to make exactly what they need. And I wouldn't be surprised if their planning is down to the micron. The only thing I can say almost for certain,
it's a dream.
If they decorate their digital house as well as this, their real life house probably looks like shit. Still, they do manage to make their ways up into the upper echelons of the social hierarchy.
I mean, you have to set your priorities straight.
With hardcore raiders. And this is the type of player who's going to strike fear into your soul. They are born from the game code. Their living spaces are located in the basement of Square Enix's headquarters around the globe, just for a better server connection.
What he's
Somehow,
gonna say.
In spite of their human limitations, they managed to play better than an AI designed to play the game. A person with their brain hardwired to the computer could probably not play as well as them. They are the outliers on parsers. Not that they even need the parsers.
So they're like a special category.
They have their GPU and graphics settings completely tailored for optimal DPS, and despite probably not deserving them, they will stick around in your shitty prog group and legitimately try to help you. These are the people that mentors wish they could be. They know the content. They breathe the content.
So why are there not mentors? Do you have to like apply to be a mentor?
Ejaculate their knowledge onto other players.
Or the crown just kind of gets stuck onto you when you reach the requirement.
And that group is going to go to Glamourers. And I'm not talking about
shit
glamours that you see. No Dalmel skin top, not the 2B.
Hey, I wear that.
I'm talking about the crowd of players that are single-handedly keeping this game alive. These are the type of players that PvP just to glam. They level every class to 80, including crafters and gatherers, just to get their outfit right and have the perfect aesthetic for every occasion. They will clear Savage and Ultimate, not for best in slot, but just to look fly as fuck.
Is there
Not only do they probably parse like a monster, they even look better than you while doing it.
Is there glamour in Ultimate that's Ultimate exclusive?
And when you see them, you can feel the presence change in your room. They know every mechanic in every fight and how to optimize their DPS at every single
Oh
level
wow.
and manipulate the RNG
All the
to get the
weapons,
glamour
okay,
drop
but
that they need.
not the
Fuck,
rest,
they probably
right?
decorated their house as well. World leaders fear them, and our peers worship them. Fashion fantasy players are the true oligarchs of the
That's
Final
true.
Fantasy
Like
XIV community.
you have to
Yes,
do
you have a
everything in
complete
order to be
understanding of the
able to
Final
just get
Fantasy
all the
XIV
stuff.
community. Now
So
get out
it's
there
kind of
and emote for 12 hours in Limsa.
taken it's kind of for granted that you're gonna do that, right? Like if you're gonna glam, you're gonna do anything and everything in order to get the stuff. So it makes sense. This is actually 100% accurate.